What makes a good comedy sketch? I guess this is definitely one of the more subjective topics that I will cover, but I definitely know what I like. You could look at SNL, overall, okay show, but one I simply have to respect. There are not very many skits in existence better than Lazy Sunday, but my tastes, and I say taste, not skills, were more developed here on YouTube by late 2000s college humor. And with that, I am mostly referring to Jake and Amir and the similarly hilarious and often very creative Hardly Working series. But there's this show on Netflix with a new season coming out in less than a week that has kind of perfected this style of absurdist comedy. I think you should leave with Tim Robinson. And I thought it'd be a good time to make a video on this thing, not just to selfishly capitalize on the trendiness of the premiere, but also to kind of reflect on why this show works so well, diving into my 5 favorite sketches from season numero uno. And for those unfamiliar, I Think You Should Leave is a sketch comedy series from Tim Robinson, who was writer and cast member on SNL and starred and created the sitcom Detroiters with his partner in crime, Sam Richardson, which is another really funny show. I Think You Should Leave feels so aligned with everything I like in comedy, right in my Q zone, and this mostly stems from how unfiltered the sketches are. And I don't mean unfiltered like unnecessarily inappropriate or crude, or haha, it's so offensive, so funny. There really isn't much of that, which is a dub. What I mean when I say unfiltered is that I don't feel like the ideas were restricted or really mulled over by Netflix or the producers that much. I mean, its executive producers are the writers and Lonely Island, so that makes sense. But it doesn't feel like Tim or co-creator Zach Kanan had to justify every bit of every sketch. These are just funny ideas, with most skits revolving around a character making a mistake or clearly being a nuisance and having them venture into the ridiculous. And everything spirals out of control. That's actually pretty much the theme of the show. The creators centering the skits around people not wanting to be publicly embarrassed and then taking it so far that it becomes a much bigger problem. They're simple, and they don't ever really try to be or ever need to be that smart or overly subversive. For a short answer, that's why it's good. And I think to demonstrate why the show simply is so funny, I want to take a look at my 5 favorite sketches from season 1. Baby Shower, Brooks Brothers, Game Night, Give Receipt, and of course Focus Group. I would say that this show has around a 63% absolutely dynamite sketch rate, which is likely higher than any show of its kind, but these 5 are definitely the definitive quintet. Baby Shower is my favorite sketch of the show. Here we get a group of friends discussing what to put in gift bags at a baby shower, and Tim Robinson's character gives his all to kind of get rid of a bunch of old props that he has left over from a mafia movie that he made that quote-unquote fucking sucks. 1, the hair, the clothes, they're funny. There's not much to that point, but it definitely adds something. 2, well, maybe there is more to that last point. His appearance in the sketch, but in the show overall, kind of warms us up to laugh before the first punchline is even delivered. Just seeing him sit on the couch with them, he looks like a little kid. Having him just be in that environment with like model adults is funny, and he doesn't need to even say anything. So when he is introduced, suggesting that they get some Stanzo brand fedoras, it's even more funny. But it gets really comical when he presents the backstory, that it's for a shitty movie that he was trying to make, which is somehow more ridiculous, and then again absurdly one of the other planners actually goes along with him. This John follows the same formula that I mentioned earlier, but to add to that idea, it's the weird, obnoxious, foolish characters' commitment to their goal and the collective normal characters' eventual acceptance of the absurdity that makes the show work. Furthermore, this show is at its best when it incorporates irrelevant comedy in a surprising way. And I think that the ending to this skit and this show in general borrows a lot from the randomness and absurdity of meme culture, but in a way that doesn't seem out of touch or unoriginal. That element allows the show to stick with you after watching. There's literally no reason for the sketch to end with some random middle-aged dude at the baby shower pretending he's firing a Tommy gun in slow motion in black and white for an awkwardly lengthy amount of time, but it just does, and it's funny. It's funny just saying that out loud, and that's why it's funny. The next sketch that needs to be mentioned, and will be mentioned right now, is Brooks Brothers, the one where the guy dressed as a hot dog crashes his hot dog car into a Brooks Brothers and tries to deny that it was he who crashed the car. And this is actually based on a true story about a hot dog car crashing into someone's humble abode. Do I really even need to say anything more about why this thing is funny? No, I don't. Actually, I won't. Go watch it. Moving on.
Yes. Yeah, come on! Whoever did this, just confess. We promise we won't be mad.
Game Night features Tim Heidecker as a jazz-obsessed, self-centered, probably a bit too old boyfriend that kind of just ruins a game of charades. I pretty much only know Heidecker from Tim and Eric, which is a show I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. While I do respect it for being ambitiously weird, I don't really find it funny enough, and it doesn't have the same watchability as something equally interesting and weird like the Eric Andre show. That doesn't matter. He's amazing in this. Perfectly hateable and strenuous. It's his fucking skit, and he absolutely bodies this character. And I like this one a lot, despite how ridiculous this character is. He's kind of a part of every one of us, as much as it is important to wear your passions on your sleeve and, be your own person. It's also very important to try to fit in, or else you'll kind of, you'll look like a douche. I Think You Should Leave is almost always driven by an insane character just overstating their presence on an unsuspecting group of like-minded individuals. And weirdly enough, somehow this is one of the more subtle and real skits. So the contrast between the overall atmosphere and Heidecker's very independent energy makes this one a particular treat. At this point in time, I am going to have to confabulate about gift receipt. Stephen Yeun is always welcome. I like how dramatic and composed he can be in the face of absurdity, and this one certainly is one of the more irrational skits in the show, and that's saying a lot. Tim Robinson's outlandish diction is often the source of a lot of laughs, and the term mud pie, as a word for poop, a large poop, is surprisingly the focal point of the sketch. He also refers to a square of toilet paper as a slice, which is a joke that's oddly hits pretty close to home for me, as my friends and I like to order scoops of ice cream as slices and slices of pie as scoops. It's reasonably funny. And moreover, the fact that it is just accepted as acceptable language is just funny. In this one, Stephen Yeun's character is hosting a birthday party at his house, and Tim Robinson, playing his usual lunatic character, gives him a little wreath as a gift, and he's really insecure about the gift to the point where he asks the host to give him the receipt back to prove that he likes it and will keep the present. The whole sketch is basically Tim Robinson's character becoming more and more mentally deranged and somehow becoming more and more accepted into the social circle because of it, eventually turning both the blame and the social awkwardness onto the birthday boy. The sketch is also significantly longer than maybe any one of the series, so comparatively it feels like a slow burner. It's given time to reach the climax as more and more characters reveal themselves to be just as ridiculous as Tim's character and the premise itself. So what starts with one weirdo, one comic, and a room full of straight man characters becomes one straight man, Stephen Yeun's character, in a room full of lunatics. Finally, focus group kind of goes without saying. Vulture wrote a pretty dedicated article on just this sketch already, where they interviewed the showrunners about the background, the writing process, casting, pretty much everything. You should check it out. All I have to say is that Ruben Rabasa has a comedic presence on screen like no other. He plays a dude who is insanely insistent upon having a good steering wheel that does not fly off your hand when you are driving. And again, like the other sketches, it's funny not just because of the lines themselves or how they're delivered, but because of the twisted logic of the oddball character. Someone who actually thinks that having a car that is stinky and having no space for mother-in-law is not only a good idea, but the best idea, the only idea.
Okay, this car is everything. Oh! You flinch, bud! Now you have to marry your mother-in-law.
Yeah, because he landed it and you flinched. You have to marry your mother-in-law.
I did.
This show's taught me to put everything that you freaking can into a good joke because you never know what you're going to get out of it. And I'm really excited for the second season. It will be consumed quickly. It feels weird rating a season of a sketch comedy show. I guess it's easier because it's just 6 short episodes. But I feel like more like a hack grading a collection of skits. But anyways, I'm going to bestow this John an 8.5. 8.5. Good stuff. But let me know what you guys think about this show. What were your favorite sketches? Let me comprehend your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Come Watch TV. Do not think that you do not have the right to subscribe, like, and share this video because I assure you, you do. Hopefully, you can utilize this channel as a source of good content or as a comfort watch, given that I will likely cover a lot of the same content you guys all know and love. I hope to see you guys next time. Now, go watch some TV.